out on the water and around town with our host, Chris Emmons.
Hello, I'm Chris Emmons and I'm a pharmacist down here in Marathon. I came down to Marathon last year. I've lived in the Keys for a really long time and I'm in a period of transition. And you're here to watch marathonflorida.com get you on the water and around town. Each episode is going to take you to someplace very interesting in Marathon and tell you some great information along the way. I hope to be your host, but if things don't work out, my replacement will be just as educational and interesting for you. So please sit back, come with us, and enjoy the marathonflorida.com Get You on the Water and Around Town show. Welcome to Marathon Florida's TV Explore the Keys with Chris Emmons. I'm so glad you could make it today. Today I'm going to be your host again, and we're going to talk about something very, very interesting and informative. We're going to talk about the topography of the Keys and Marathon in particular. So much is misunderstood about the topography of Marathon. I even talked to locals, and they don't even know the topography. That means the different islands in it. That's right, we don't live on Marathon. You're not visiting Marathon. You're not thinking about coming to Marathon. Really, there are islands, a few of them, and I want to share it all with you. So come on, let's get started, okay? Glad you could make it. Come. Spending time in the Florida Keys is truly extreme living. We can have a tropical island experience without leaving the Keys. And it truly is an ultimate destination. And in order to get a feel for what that looks like, we need to go up into the satellite and look down. You can do the same thing that you're going to see next by going to Google Images on the internet and doing in the search satellite image of Marathon, Florida. So let's take a look at what that looks like. What makes this an ultimate destination? You ready? Look at all those dots of islands. There are practically 1,700 of them. They are called keys. 42 are connected by bridges. Actually, physically being here is as amazing as being able to visit or live or even just know about a community whose homes are in the trees, in the canopy of a great forest, or a community whose homes are submerged in the sea, or a community whose homes are etched onto the caves of the cliffs. Spending time in the Florida Keys is just plain neat, super duper, and super fantastic, and I'll show you why. So draped off of the Florida state, you'll see a chain of islands that go basically westernly, southerly, and westernly, 1,700 of them. When you start off at the tip of them, underneath the state of Florida, you're at mile marker 126, 127, and when you get all the way to Key West, you're at mile marker 0. That's the amazing thing. These are connected by bridges. And so you'll be able to go to an island that you normally never would be able to go to. That's what makes it an extreme destination. And you get to come here by car. And if you do have a plane, you can come to the airport in Marathon too, but by and large, the majority of people drive right in. Are you ready to see what you're driving into? Okay, let's get going. Yes.
Lionfish may be beautiful to look at, but they are a danger, not only to the waters of the Keys, but to humans as well. Never try to pick up a lionfish or remove one from the hook, as their spines are toxic. Only someone with proper knowledge should ever attempt to handle the lionfish.
You're watching Marathon Florida TV. You can also find us on the web at marathonflorida.com. That's Comcast Channel 88. Hi everyone, I'm Josie Kohler. This is the station that's going to be covering everything happening on land and in the water, from diving and dining to showcasing the unique features and creatures of the Florida Keys. Keep it right here and enjoy your show. I'm Josie Kohler. Stay tuned.
When boating, please take your garbage back with you and dispose of properly on the land.
Along your drive here, the Florida Department of Transportation tries to maintain small rectangular green with white numbered signs along both sides of the highway that tell approximately how far you are from Key West. They are green with white lettering. And there used to be a mile marker at every mile. However, these signs are treasured by souvenir hunters and many are gone. Key West is at the very bottom and grew into the largest town initially because it was close to Cuba, 90 miles south by water, close to the Bahamas, 282 miles by water, and in the trade route to New Orleans. Henry Flagler built a railroad that connected the islands with Key West. Work began in 1905 and was completed in 1912. That service ran until 35, and roads for automobiles were added in 28. There are reasons why Henry Flagler spent the 7 years at the turn of the 19th century to extend the railroad he built deep into Florida all the way to Key West. He got it as far as Miami, but at the time Miami was not a shipping port. So the only real natural port in those days was way down over there in Key West. In the 1900s, it was Florida's largest city. Believe it, Key West, a bustling port alive with the cigar industry, fishing and sponging. So the impetus for building an overseas railroad was that Henry Flagler needed a port. And in order to get to Key West, he needed to come through Marathon. The islands with the road are divided into the Upper Keys, which is the farthest north, closest to the mainland, the Middle Keys, where you are when you come to Marathon, and its outlying islands. Those would be islands you can only get to by boat. And the Florida Reef surrounds the islands and with their shallow waters protects them from that oceanic wave action like you would see at a beach. So it's pretty calm. The Florida Marine Sanctuary surrounds all the Florida Keys, and the uninhabited islands are well preserved and well protected. So we have a lot of ecotourism here. You'll be able to come down here and the residents who live here can go kayaking, diving, and snorkeling at a moment's notice. And our climate is tropical. That's because we're close to the equator at about latitude 24. There is no frost, and there are 2 seasons. We have a hot, wet, and humid season from about June through October, and then a somewhat drier and cooler weathered season from November through May. Either season you come, you're going to have a ball. There's so much to do here, and when you're done doing it, relaxing. And that's why millions come to the Keys annually to do all this, to canoe, kayak, nature study. They go hiking, bicycling, relaxing. Us residents, we do the same. And another thing is health. This is fascinating. I have heard that sea level is the safest place to be if you have heart problems. Together we're going to drill down onto the map of the Florida Keys down to Marathon. The Florida Keys being that string of islands that start on the southernmost part of the state of Florida. Starts at mile marker 127 and it ends at Key West at 0. We are going to drill down on the Marathon area, which starts at mile marker 60. Are you ready? Let's start drilling. Our destination is within the Middle Keys. There are 2 cities in this area of the Middle Keys. The city of Marathon, which encompasses a number of islands. The islands of Marathon is what they're called, and they begin at mile marker 60 in Grassy Key and run for 13 miles to mile marker 47 in Knights Key. In Knights Key at mile marker 47 is the foot of the 7-mile bridge, which leads you off the islands of Marathon and onwards towards Key West. The second city in the area of the Middle Keys is the city of Key Colony Beach. At mile marker 53.75, you will turn left, which is, well, it depends on if you're going north or south, but you'll go oceanside onto Sadowski Causeway. The city of Key Colony Beach occupies a portion of Fat Deer Key and Shelter Key. Today Today we're going to explore the topography of these islands, the islands of Marathon. And actually we're going to do that because a lot of the folks who live here think that they live on the island of Marathon. But there is no island of Marathon. There's the city of Marathon that encompasses the islands of Marathon, and they've been shortened to the islands of Marathon. But now you know that there are two cities down here, Key Colony Beach and City of Marathon. We'll talk about each separately. Let's get going. Grab a pen and a paper because during our time together, I'm going to share some great websites that you can go to get even more information than what I touch on. Go grab it now. Okay, here we go. The Marathon area is about 24 to 25 degrees north of the equator. It is in the subtropics, but it does have a true tropical climate because its climate and its environment are closer to that of the Caribbean than the rest of Florida. It has no frost. Be reminded there are two main seasons, the wet and humid rainy season and the somewhat drier and cooler winter season. Unlike many of the Caribbean's volcanic islands, which have towering mountain ranges, the Keys were built by plants and animals, and so they have a flat terrain. The origin of the term key used to identify an island is not well established. Most believe that it is an adaptation of the Spanish word cayo, used by the old Indians of Hispaniola and Cuba. At least in the New World, the Spanish used the word cayo for a very small island, and then the English changed the word to cay, C-A-Y, or K, K-A-Y. And English maps of the Keys made just prior to the Revolutionary War in 1776 used the word key, K-E-Y. When you do visit here or move here, there are two places to go for local information. One is the Marathon Chamber of Commerce, which sits at mile marker 53.5 on the Gulf side. And that's if you're in the area. But if you're on the internet, just look up FloridaKeysMarathon.com. The second place to go for information is the website, MarathonFlorida.com.
Sombrero Reef got its name from the Sombrero Lighthouse and comes from the Spanish cayo sombrero, or key hat. There is always something going on in the Keys. Check our website for events and activities near you.
You're watching Marathon Florida TV, Comcast Channel 88. You can also find us on the web at marathonfloridatv.com. Hi everyone, I'm Josie Kohler. This is the newest production studio to drop anchor in the Florida Keys. We're here to showcase you all of the fabulous people and creatures that make up the Florida Keys on land and in the water. So of course, be prepared to put on your board shorts and bikini as we take you out into the Caribbean, out onto the Atlantic Ocean, and of course, dive down into the waters of the Gulf of Mexico so you can see all that there is to explore and share with your friends and family. The Florida Keys are a fabulous place to vacation, but not only that, you'll find out that there are people down here that have made these islands their home. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, work, and do business. We're going to showcase all of that to you with our hosts, hostesses, reporters, photographers, and our production crew. So go ahead, sit back, muddle a mojito, and enjoy the show.
Please use caution when visiting the reefs. Your accident can be their disaster. Throughout the Keys, many decommissioned ships have been purposely sunk to create artificial reefs for the sea life to live in.
The first thing you notice as you get into Marathon is a cut that's called Vaca Cut. You need to know that this is an artificial opening. It never was there on the old maps. They had to do something to allow the ocean and the Gulf water to flow unimpeded because the waters were having a tendency to come over the road and cause hazards. Over time, the overseas highway developed as you see it now. Some of its miles of asphalt and concrete is 2-lane, some is 3-lane, and some is 4. How it came to be here is a long story, and it has its roots in 1917 when a $100,000 bond was issued to build roads or trails to connect all the pineapple farms in the area so they could cart their pineapples to a common dock for shipping. It's a fascinating story of the history of the overseas highway, and it's found at the Historical Preservation Society. This is actually a source of Jerry Wilkinson's lifetime work of local history research, and you can access it at keyshistory.org. As you're traveling south down the Keys, you will come to mile marker 60, and that's the beginning of the city of Marathon. Mile marker 60 is Grassy Key, and it goes until mile marker 58. And it begins at the foot of the bridge, the Old Tom's Harbor Bridge, the south side of the bridge. So as you come onto Grassy Key, you know that you're entering the city of Marathon's limits. Now, the Grassy Key was known for a long time. They've known about Grassy Key as much as long as 1855, where it was mentioned in a wrecker's catalog for the fire on a ship called the Concordia. So, welcome to the area of the city of Marathon. Grassy Key also was a filming location for movies. In 1963, there was the movie Flipper. And then in 1964, there was the second movie, The Adventures of Flipper. And there was a local dolphin down there named Mitzi, and she played the part. She created the dolphin caricature that went on to become also the TV series Flipper that went on from 1964 to 67. Hello, we're now deep into the city of Marathon, and I'm helping you to remember that because I got this t-shirt that says Marathon, okay? So quiz, where are you? Deep in the city of Marathon limits. We are at mile marker 57 now. And where are we? We are at Crawl Key. What an interesting name, Crawl Key. Well, it actually stands for crawl, K-R-A-A-L, because there were crawls here to hold the sea turtles. They used to have giant sea turtles, and they would hold them in the crawls, which you kind of consider corrals. And that would be a source of their meat, because think about it, it's kind of hard to find meat down here. There's lots of fish, but turtle was meat. So here at Crawl Key, mile marker 57 was where the turtle crawls were. Now a little bit further south at mile marker 56.2 is Little Crawl Key, and it is little. It's off of US 1, you have to take a little bridge there, and that's where Curry State Hammock Park is. It's on the ocean side, 56.2, and that's where you can do everything that has to do with activity or relaxing. You can kayak, you can swim, you can paddleboard, you can go to the beach, you can have a picnic, you can tent. They even do bird watching there. So we've got ourselves closer to the business area of Marathon. We are on Little Crawl Key. Curry Hammock State Park is located along the South Florida Birding Trail, and the state park hosts the annual Florida Keys Hawk Watch. Hawk Watch monitors the fall migration of raptors over the island. That would be your predatory birds, you know, like hawks and ospreys and eagles and falcons and anything that's a predatory raptor. Now you can learn more about the park and about the Hawk Fest by going to its website, floridastateparks.org. Curry Hammock State Park also hosts the Florida Keys Birding and Wildlife Festival. And this festival is held in the fall during the time the birds are migrating. So they're bird watching. and they're looking for sightings all around the Little Crawl Key and the Deer Key, which is down a bit, not far because nothing's far, but down a couple keys, and Fat Deer Key. When you visit here, be sure to visit the state park. And if you live here, be sure to fit that into your agenda of your time off. It is beautiful. So now's the time that we can start imagining the things that we can do and see and experience when we arrive at our destination, or if we're a resident, when we have a day off. Okay, let's think. Let's visualize. What do we got? I see views of clear blue skies, views of blue ocean water, blue water over white sand. I imagine experiencing the 3 R's: reclining with a view, relaxing on a beach. It could be Sombrero Beach, Cocoa Beach, resting by a pool, dining, probably on fresh caught seafood, boating, visiting a sandbar, wave running, kayaking, paddle boarding, snorkeling in the ocean, snorkeling on a reef at the Sombrero Key Lighthouse, snuba-ing, scuba diving on the reef, scuba diving on a wreck, looking at marine life. And when all has been done and all has been explored, the joy of relaxing reading a good book. This one's a favorite of mine. We are at mile marker 56, and here is where Deer Key and Fat Deer Key are. And they go on until mile marker 53.5. Now, Deer Key is on the ocean side, and you'd need to have a boat to get to it. But Fat Deer Key, US 1, goes over it. And Fat Deer Key is a conservation area. There's not much happening on Fat Deer Key other than the bicycle trail, the heritage bicycle trail that I have spoken of a couple times. And also, Fat Deer Key is where they have the birding festival in the fall. That's really kind of what's happening on the Deer Keys. Now, in the past, these keys did have key deer living on them. There's no deer here today. There are still some key deer further south, or what we would call east, because the Florida Keys actually, in the beginning at mile marker 127, goes south. And then when you get into the marathon area, it kind of makes a bowl where it's going more east than south. We still say you're going south to Key West, but it is nice for you to know that you are kind of going more east as well as south. But there still are some key deer further south in Big Pine Key. The Florida Keys is the only known location for key deer, and these deer are a subspecies of the white-tailed deer, but they're much smaller. The males average in size from 50 to 75 pounds. The females are from 40 to 65 pounds. They are about 2.5 feet tall, so when people do see them, they assume they are looking at young deer instead of a species that is full grown. You can go to the website Deer Worlds, click on species, and then enter key deer in the search site box and read about them. There's one other thing that Fat Deer Key does have, and that happens at mile marker 54.5. You will see a road on the ocean side called Plum Drive, and it has a bridge that leads to a man-made island called Plum. Plum was created by Phil Sadowski in the 1950s, when the original island was greatly enlarged. How does one enlarge an island? It's totally cool. You grab from the bottom of the sea what's called marl, M-A-R-L. It's got a lot of calcium in it and limestone, and you drag it up oftentimes from the Gulf side, because that includes a lot of silt. So you drag that up, you put that on the area and you let it dry, and then you drag some of the sand and the cracked up shelves from the ocean side and you lay that on top. And doing a lot of work in this manner, you eventually end up with more land. And that's what Phil Sadowski did. And he could do that because back then you could actually buy portions of the ocean floor. It was totally legal. Because he did that work, we have a big island called Coco Plum. Coco Plum also boasts the only high-rise in the Florida Keys. This building stands 14 stories with 6 units per floor. Each condo has a different and equally spectacular sunset or sunrise view. Coco Plum has one of the 2 nicest beaches in the city of Marathon area. Coco Plum Beach is a natural 2-mile stretch of sand with covered picnic pavilions and a composting toilet. Coco Plum also has a beach bike trail that is part of the Overseas Heritage Trail. Parking is near the end of the Overseas Heritage Trail at about mile marker 55 Bayside on US 1. Take the 2-mile bike path along Coco Plum Beach Road to the end.
Marathon began its life as a base camp for the railroad workers. It is said they gave Marathon its name after their own endurance.
I hope you're enjoying the show, everyone. You're watching Marathon Florida TV, channel 88 here in the fabulous Florida Keys. You can find us online at marathonflorida.com and of course become an interactive viewer. We are online and on social media. I've been standing here watching on my iPad. I'm Josie Kohler. This is the newest production studio to hit the Florida Keys. Our crew and our hostesses, reporters, and photographers are here to showcase everything that is on land, in the water, in our restaurants, at our hotels, in the fitness facilities. This is a luxury vacation destination, also a place where you can get away with your family and friends. There's more to the Florida Keys than just the 200 block of Duval Street. I'm here to show you, and I'm going to show the entire world, everything fabulous in the Florida Keys. It's not only a great place to vacation, but we love to live, work, and do business here. So sit back, muddle yourself a mojito, and enjoy the show.
Remember the rules of fishing. Take only in season and only the limit.
I'm taking a detour from our cruising the islands of the city of Marathon because we're coming up onto the second city in the Marathon area, and that's called the city of Key Colony Beach. You'll find the entranceway to the city of Key Colony Beach at mile marker 53.75. You'll turn oceanside onto Sadowski Causeway, and that causeway leads you right into the city of Key Colony Beach. So let's take a look at that. What does that look like? The second city in the Marathon Middle Keys area. The city of Key Colony Beach, mile marker 53.75, occupies a portion of Fat Deer Key and Shelter Key. Shelter Key was over 90 acres of mangrove in 1953 when Phil Sadowski converted it to an almost 400-acre island with 285 acres buildable, using the same technique that was used to build Coco Plum, marl and coral sand fill, as we chatted about earlier together. The area is called Key Colony. The city of Key Colony incorporated in 1957 and began governing itself It built a convention center, which is now the City Hall. And the city of Key Colony Beach boasts a thriving community with hotels, condos, shopping, dining, golfing, charter boats, and parks. So you're getting a feel for the texture of the area that you live in, or you're going to visit, or you're going to move to, because there is a lot to it, isn't there? And unlike some resorts that just are built and they're there, this place has got a long history. We return now to our search, our investigation of the topography of the islands of Marathon as we continue to mile marker 50, Oceanside, where we come upon a developed man-made landmass. It is called Sombrero Key, and at mile marker 50, you will turn Oceanside onto Sombrero Beach Road. It is a 2-mile tree-lined causeway that leads to Sombrero Key. It is called a key even though it is man-made. At the end of the causeway is one of the 2 nicest beaches in the Marathon area, the other beach being Coco Plum Beach on Coco Plum. Sombrero Beach is a wide, sandy beach with a manicured park that offers picnic pavilions, volleyball nets over sand, and a playground with restrooms and showers. Also here is the Sombrero Beach Bike Trail, which is part of the Overseas Heritage Trail. You will park in front of Sombrero Beach at the end of Sombrero Beach Road. And a 2-mile bike path from Sombrero Beach leads to US 1, where you can cross to the Gulf side of the island and continue riding on the bike path to mile marker 54, or even ride to mile marker 58 if you prefer a more rustic ride. Sombrero Key has 2 developed man-made islands on it. They are Flamingo Island and Tingler Island. The key, the causeway, the beautiful sandy beach, the 2 developed man-made islands were made by Stanley Switlick. Mr. Switlick and his wife Wanda donated the beach on the key to the community, and also land that lies along the causeway for the Marathon High School. The Marathon High School site also houses the Florida Keys Community College. The Switlicks were also big contributors to the Stanley Switlick Elementary School located on Key Vaca. Each of these gifts has been a boon to the Marathon community. Thank God there are philanthropists who pay it forward. We're kind of running out of keys. We got a couple more to go as part of the city of Marathon. One is very small. It's called Hog Key, and it's only 1/10 of a mile on US 1. In the past, a long time ago, there were hogs on Hog Key, but there's no hogs now. Although you'll understand that some of the businesses include the word hog, and you won't take it as an insult, like Hog Marina and Hog Boat Storage and that eating place. What is that eating place called? Ah, the Stuffed Pig. And then there's Porky's Restaurant. That all heralds back to the fact that there's a Hog Key and there used to be hogs on it. Here we are, entering onto Knight's Key at mile marker 47. This is the last key along US 1 before you leave the islands of Marathon, the city of Marathon. This is at 47. At 47, you're on Knight's.
At 47.
At 47, you're at Knight's Key, and at 47, you leave Knight's Key as you enter the 7-mile bridge. Now you've left the islands of Marathon. But back to about Knight's Key. Knight's Key was named after its original settler, Mr. Knight. And that's why when you say Knight's Key, you want an apostrophe after the Knight and the S, because it was Knight's Key. And a lot happened on Knight's Key once Flagler's Railroad approached. Flagler's Railroad to Key West was called the eighth wonder of the world, and building it began in 1905. Knight's Key was integral to the process as the railroad reached the Middle Keys. From early in 1908, the train operated scheduled daily train service from Miami to Knight's Key Dock, and this continued until the 7-mile bridge was built for the railroad to continue on its way to Key West. Until then, Knight's Key was the end of the line. Knight's Key is the last key before an incredibly long stretch of water, and its topography led to it being a great place to build a major seaport. Building a bridge to the next island from Knight's Key required a span of many miles, and therefore at this time Henry Flagler's vision was called Flagler's Folly to the local folk. It was said that it has been a marathon to open the Knight's Key dock, and this may have contributed to the name Marathon sticking for this general area. Today, the Pigeon Key Ferry docks at Knight's Key. Pigeon Key is a historical island owned by Monroe County and leased to the Pigeon Key Foundation. This is a nonprofit organization that runs science and educational programs on Pigeon Key. Pigeon Key Island is open to visitors and can be reached by ferry from the Pigeon Key Ferry Dock on Knight's Key for daily historical tours, or you can walk the old bridge to Pigeon Key, the one initially built by Henry Flagler, to go to Pigeon Key and beyond. The website to find more about Pigeon Key and visiting is pigeonkey.net. The largest Keys-wide fishing story happened on Knight's Key also. And that happened in 1912 when a 38-foot-long whale shark was subdued. But he wasn't subdued until he had fought back for over a day and a half, had used up 5 harpoons and 100 shots of gun. Is that amazing? He was 26,000 pounds. Knight's Key has been a popular spot to film movies, and 4 films have had location sets done in Knight's Key. First was the 1989 James Bond film License to Kill. Next came the 1992 Arnold Schwarzenegger film True Lies. Then there was the 2003 movie Too Fast, Too Furious, and the 2006 Tom Cruise film Mission Impossible 3. Old Marathon is called Old Town, and it starts at Knight's Key and it progresses north until you get to 42nd Street. That's when the island was built. It was built from Knight's Key up. Now I'm going to talk about some other keys. Some of them you can't get at by a road. I've already spoken about all the keys that you can access using US 1. Boot Key is at mile marker 48, and it is adjacent to Key Vaca. And the Florida Keys Marine Sanctuary surrounds Boot Key, just like it surrounds all of the keys in the Florida Keys. Boot Key is largely undeveloped. There is a bridge to it from Key Vaca which spans Boot Key Harbor, but a part of the bridge has been dismantled and closed to pedestrian and vehicular traffic. Boot Key is a natural area. There is a long road on it that is being reclaimed by nature and a radio station that is derelict. It is a large island by Florida Keys standards, but most of it is mangrove swamp. Its main claim to ecological fame is as a stopover point for migrating falcons, where a hawk watch is conducted every fall. And kayakers also explore the waterway mangrove tunnels. Also part of the city of Marathon is the East and the West Sisters Rock Islands. These are oceanside off of Sombrero Beach, and they are accessible only by boat. East Sister Rock is a small private island with one rental home on it, and West Sister Rock is also known as Gula Gula Island. And boats raft up there, less than a 6-foot draft, and they go to the Gula Gula Island. It's a party spot on weekends, and you can anchor and swim and float, but do wear water shoes because the rocks on the bottom are sharp. We have developed islands that have no bridges also. We have Seashell Island, Seabird Island, Big Dolphin Jumpway, and Quiet Cove Key, and Manatee Key. So these you'd need to have a boat to get to. They are private, and each of them does contain a residence. Gosh, I want to thank you for joining me. I wanted to give you the best that I could of information about the lay of the land of the islands of Marathon, the city of Marathon, and the city of Key Colony Beach. I'm a little under the weather today, but I didn't want to miss an opportunity to be with you. So I hope you overlook my sniffling or I can't think as clearly as I'd like. But now you do own the knowledge, and you own websites where you can explore to your heart's content prior to you coming here or thinking of coming here, visiting short-term or moving. I'm really happy to have you join us. And I really want to thank Mike Puto. Mike Puto is a longtime marathonite, multi-generational, and he helped put this together information-wise so that you could get the best, the clearest, and the most informative information. Mike has held so many positions here in the city of Marathon. He's been the fire chief, and he's been a council member, commissioner, and now he's the city manager. And I really want to thank you, Mike. You gave the best so that everybody who hears can have the best. Thank you, Mike Puto. I want you to know how to get a hold of me, because this Explore the Keys with Chris Emmons, you might very well have something on your mind that you would enjoy having to be explored or to explore with me. And so I want to give you a way to get a hold of me. And it's easy. My name is Chris with a CH, chris@marathonfloridatv.com. So please feel free to reach out, okay? And before I leave, there's something that I want to ask you. What is your hobby? What do you like to do when you're not doing something that you have to do? Because I think that what builds a great community is when we have hobby clubs and social clubs. I'm looking forward to you sharing with me, because that listing is going to end up at the Chamber of Commerce, and also it's going to be on the marathonflorida.com website, so that we can grow just an awesome community with lots of emotional connections. Thank you again. This is Chris Emmons from Explore the Keys with Chris Emmons for the marathonfloridatv.com. Have a great day. I love you. Bye. See ya, okay?
What a fantastic show. I hope you're as enlightened as I am. Hi everyone, I'm Josie Kohler and you're watching Marathon Florida TV. You can also find us on the web at marathonflorida.com. This is the latest production company that has decided to throw some shows on one of your cable stations, here to highlight all of the unique and fascinating people and places of the Florida Keys. There's so much to see and do, and of course we know that you want to know where all the hot spots are that the locals hit. We know where to send you down an alley to go dancing. We know where to send you so you can grab your spear gun and surface with enough lionfish to feed a party of 8 sushi sandwiches. Say that really quickly. Lionfish, sushi, sandwiches. It's one of my favorite terms of all time. We're going to be inside the restaurants, talking to the cooks, talking to the chefs, talking to the restaurant owners and the diners. There are all sorts of secret hidden gems that are here in the Florida Keys. Our station knows exactly where to take our cameras, who to interview, and what to put on air, so that when you make this your vacation destination, or you are here to live and work, you know exactly what's happening in your community and you're in on the mix. I'm Josie Kohler. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.